We're glad to know you're still there. It's time to go to the papers to see what the headlines are this morning. And joining us to X-ray the headlines is Mr. KEHINDE NWANDU, Executive Editor, KEHINDE News. Good morning and welcome to the program, Mr. Nwandu.
Good morning, American sir.
Baraka de April Fool.
Yes, sir.
I hope nobody has pranked you this morning. Okay. Well, I hope nobody has pranked you this morning anyway.
Okay.
Well, let's begin with the Punch newspaper this morning. And I'm not going to the leading headline. I'm going to a very tiny headline, top right corner. Naira for crude. Federal government Dangote set for talks as refinery imports 12.6 million barrels of crude. The refinery is 650,000 barrels per refinery, and they have imported this much. It's about 20 times the volume of the refinery. Okay, now we've already seen the filling stations hike their prices and all that, but this is the time that the federal government is set for talks with Dangote after he has done this. Well, I'd like to just comment on the failure of these talks on Naira for crude and the impact it has had on Nigeria.
Well, the Naira for crude agreement between the Dangote refinery and the NNPC, which are the largest entity, also called the government, last supposed to last, I think the end of this month, end of March. It was for a period where the federal government gave a waiver that crude should be sold to Dangote in Naira, and that in itself, to a large extent, since the implementation, we have seen a drastic drop in prices of petroleum products from Dangote refinery, and also which also get matched as it were by the NNPC. But it seems that at the point towards the end of that, there doesn't seem to be a renewal of that agreement, or the so-called people in charge of both parties is not to have reached an agreement on that, and you have seen the impact on that on the prices of petroleum. It's going back to about 960 or thereabout, because it used to be about 835, 860 as it were. But it's always a way of doing things. Wait till the last time. You only go into negotiation with labor when they call on strike or go on strike. Academia give notice. The government will not listen until they go on strike. The doctors will not listen to the doctors or another labor union until they go on strike. So, coming at this point, I hope that something will be done as quickly as possible to get through. So,
we hope so too, because
as far as I'm concerned, it's
okay.
Affecting every aspect of our lives: transportation, food, name it. Once there's an increment in petroleum product, to see that increment in goods and services across Nigeria. So I hope that the issue should be resolved as quickly as possible, so that we'll continue to the largest extent enjoy those price reduction that is always coming from Dangote. But they shouldn't have left to this date. They don't have to wait until the contract expires before you. I don't know the reason. Is it that they don't have enough crude, or is it on what factor?
Okay. The next headline I'd like you to look at is a very thorny, sensitive one. Lynched travelers, governor demands public parade. 14 suspects moved to Abuja. That is the travelers that were, alleged innocent travelers that were killed in Edo State because they were suspected to be criminals and all that. So The governor of Pueblo visited the Kano state counterpart and apologized on behalf of the people of Edo State, which I think is a very good move. Now they're demanding public parade of these 14 people and possibly punishment for whatever they had done. It's unfortunate these people had to die, but we're looking at every other factor that led to this and all that. But I'd like you to just comment on what is going on. That is what the demand has been from Kano State, even after what Okpebholo did, the governor of Edo State. So what is your take?
First and foremost, every person of goodwill will condemn what happened in Edo State. And the barbaric way, 16 of those travelers were killed. And I've always said, let us even assume they are criminals without considering. It's the way, the manner they were killed, and they even want the right way to go. The best option is if you have anybody that you think is a criminal, if you apprehend him, then you hand over to security agents and we'll be able to do a thorough investigation and take decisive decision on that. Why do you have to go into taking laws into your hand and self-help and not only killing them, you put tires on them and burn them? I've never seen it. It's been long. I've heard of such in Nigeria. The last time something similar happened was when we had the Alu 4. Remember the Alu?
Yeah.
Back in Port Harcourt. So that action is totally condemned, and all the perpetrators must be brought to book. We were told that 14 suspects have been arrested and have been moved to Abuja. Then secondly to that is that the demands of the government of Kano State, especially the governor. Well, the police some weeks back came out that there will be no longer parade of suspects, that has stopped. So parading, I don't know what parading the suspect will want to do. The part is that let the security agencies do their thorough investigation, and if they find them culpable, those arrest the culprit, then you charge them to court. That is so that they face the wrath of the law. That is the best option. They're saying that they should be paraded and the rest of it. I don't know what that is going to do. Just as I told you, the police in his recent press statement said that the parade of all criminal elements suspect in Nigeria have stopped. And it's stated in the law of Nigeria, so you don't need to, I don't think that is necessary. But the fact remains that all those that have participated in that distracting act should be arrested. Those that are on the run, security agencies must make sure that we do. And I commend the effort of the governor of Edo State so far. He has shown leadership. He has been able to douse the tension because he has not taken the arm he took so far. He has taken it so far. Then you can see a reprisal attacks, which may kind of escalate the situation. I don't know where that's going to. So I commend the governor of Edo State for all he has done so far, and also the cooperation of the governor of Kano State, who also welcomed me with open hands. I saw the governor of Edo State speaking to a crowd in a language that they understand, which is Hausa, which is commendable.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that I could have wanted to say on this issue, but it's too sensitive to talk about it. But I hope that the people who are responsible, because especially like you said, even if these people were criminals, jungle justice has never been the way to go and all that. And that's the same kind of jungle justice that happened in the case of Deborah up north. Until now, the culprits have not been brought to book. They have not been convicted. They have not been taken to court or anything. No arrests have been made. But I think it has to start somewhere where people begin to see that jungle justice will also bring consequences to you, that every life is important until it is legally declared by the law that it has to be taken before that could be done. And maybe even if it's going to start from here, it's going to be a welcome development. And I hope that if it starts from here, everywhere else that this thing happens, there are going to be consequences and people will be held accountable for this. Because I've already seen people talking about if it happens in the north, nothing happens. If it happens in the south, we condemn it. Whether it happened in the north or south, east or west, we condemn it. And let's see justice being done here so that people can begin to know that the Nigerian laws are still working. That's just what I wanted to add. Other things will be behind the scene. Now, we go to the Guardian newspaper. Let's take an international news, more or less. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso have said that they are imposing tariff on other West African countries, the goods that come from other West African countries, I think 0.5%. Do you think it will hurt other West African countries or the people who are imposing these tariffs? Maybe they're just doing copycat of what Trump is doing in America.
Well, the problem is what you have to ask yourself, what is the volume of trade between these three countries and other West African countries? I don't think if they put up to that of Nigeria as a country. So I stand to be corrected, but that is a fact. See, on goods coming in from other West African countries don't make any sense. If Nigeria, for example, today, yes, not importation, export to Niger, Mali, or Burkina Faso, do you know the effect it's going to have? We supply Niger, I think Niger power. If we cut off the power that is being supplied to Niger, what is going to be the effect at Nigeria? When the Nigerian border was closed after the coup, about the cost of living in the country and the rest of them. So for me, this is just rhetorics. They are just trying to place muscle. They are not money enough for me. Why do they impose 25%? Why 0.1% to 5%? That is less than 1%. What are they? I was thinking that if we want to impose any kind of this, they should impose 25%, just like Donald Trump is doing with other countries. Then we can start a discussion. But for this, for me, it is highly insignificant and just don't looking for relevance. I totally think that they should be ignored.
But you are a lawyer, you should know that if someone is convicted for 10 naira, no matter how small it is, you are an ex-convict, you know. So people fight tooth and nail to exonerate themselves and all that. So 0.5% may be just a sign to show that they are arguing, they are talking from a stronger point of view. And if other countries don't do anything, it will seem as if they are weak. Don't you think so?
I've told you, if we are imposing a tariff on goods coming from another country, it's not 0.5%. And you ask yourself, 0.5%, what is the mass? The issue for me is that the West African region seems to have decided to move on. I personally feel that they got it wrong at the issue from one set, the way they related with these three West African countries when there was coup d'etat in those countries. I believe that the ECOWAS government could have handled the issue better. And don't forget, the ECOWAS is headed by our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when this issue will happen. And the way he went about it was wrong. As if we are going to, we are going to improve, we are going to invade, we are going to. They should have handled this. What they ought to have done first was what they did last. By then, it was too late. There would have been a much diplomatic approach to the issues in those three countries. Don't forget the fact is that they are leaning towards Russia more. And I believe that also, that when you have the saying in my play, when you see a small child dancing by the roadside, by the bush side, whoever is playing the drum and music for the child is right inside the bush. So for me, there must have been promises, carrots thrown at these three West African countries by some superpowers, especially Russia, which to them makes it more attractive than whatever they think they're getting from ECOWAS, and that is the reason why. So I believe, and I thought that the situation would have been better handled so that we don't have this drift, having three West African countries leaving the Union and putting their thing. But I believe I still feel that a more diplomatic approach can be sorted, and that issues are there. They're just trying to place muzzle, as I said earlier on. And what needs to be done is to be able to continue to with the issue of diplomacy. In West Africa as it is, there's an ECOWAS treaty of free movement and free movement of goods and services among the ECOWAS countries. But with this exercising by these three countries, it has become less of they become less a union of their own. And I still repeat, 0.5% increase on imports from importation, which from West Africa countries today. If West Africa countries decide today to retaliate by saying no more trade between West Africa and this country, I'll tell you that they will feel the pinch and they quickly reverse whatever they are doing. No country within the West African region, mostly these smaller countries can do without trade with their neighbor. It's not possible.
Well, for landlocked countries, that was very audacious of them. Okay, we move to the Tribune.
Yeah.
Nigerian Tribune, a small story up there, top right corner, is Kogi Bars convoy public gatherings rallies as Natasha visits constituency today. Natasha is the senator representing Kogi Central, I think, and she's supposed to visit her constituency, and the state government has banned rallies and everything that can happen when a senator gets to that place. So I'd like your comment.
I don't know whether the constitutional power to do banning by the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 Constitution, as amended. There is freedom of association, there is freedom of movement, and there is freedom of speech. Even the police, as a security agent, cannot ban even protest in Kogi State. They don't have the constitutional right to do that. That case has been decided as far as the Supreme Court is concerned. So what the security agency and the security agencies can only do is to try to provide security and make sure that the rally or the welcome, I don't know what to call it now, welcome party or whatever, or welcome rally for Natasha, is peaceful as possible. But for a state government to rise up and say, oh, we are banned this thing, we will stop it from this. Maybe they have the government have the security report. Maybe they have some, but that they can stop anybody from welcoming anybody, and it is a breach of the Constitution, and to me is overwhelming and authoritarian policies on the part of the government. And the fact remains that Natasha is an opposition party member, unlike the government in Kogi State. And we've seen also that Kogi State government to a large extent have become an interested party. And the issue between Natasha and the Senate president in Abuja, I don't know what their stake is in that. They are the one that have been continuing from what we've learned to continue to rally people to his constituency to recall her. As I say, it is a fundamental right to come into Kogi. It is also a constitutional right to be welcomed by people at any given that, as I said, has been enshrined in the Constitution. So it is for the security agencies in Kogi, especially the police commissioner of the state, to make sure that the rally is people, and that is all.
Well, if that speculation that the government of Kogi may have had a hand in the recall of Natasha, that was, people were brought together to sign and all that, even though we've heard so many stories how they were mobilized before they came to know that it was a recall process. If the government is interested in that, and they did that and sponsored it to some extent, then if Natasha visits that central senatorial district and people come out en masse to welcome her, it will be a blight on the reputation of the government, which says, or the people who say that her constituents were the ones that initiated the recall. Because if people come out to welcome her, who was it that signed the recall papers or the recall documents and all that? So maybe that's what they're trying to protect, if that is the case, because I don't see any reason why someone cannot return home. It's very different from what is happening in Bayelsa State, I think, where the governor has banned any congregation that is geared towards welcoming Wike. By the way, what do you think about that? Wike is supposed to visit Bayelsa, and the state governor said on any public or government facility, he cannot be welcome. Maybe in a personal thing or place, he can be welcomed. And the Ijaw youth is also saying that he is not welcome in Bayelsa State and all that. So just a few comments on that before we wrap it up.
The same thing applies. The same thing applies. Every Nigerian has the right to visit any state in Nigeria without being hindered. So the governor coming out to say that UK is not welcome to Bayelsa State, for me, it's the same thing, irrespective of whatever problem is going on between UK and his political godson in the River State. It will within his right to visit any part of Nigeria at any given point in time. If and it's believed that those visits are not without any ulterior motive, which I've not seen, which the government have not proved as well, UK has a right. After all, the Bayelsa governor has been seen several times in River State in recent past. I even saw him going to commission some projects in River State. Was he stopped from going to River State? I don't think that's it. I think our leaders should just focus on the big picture and leave all these small pictures. Who can want to come to, is who going to contest as governor of River State, like Bayelsa State? It's not possible. Even if you have a candidate supporting anybody. But as I said, nobody's constitutional right must stand on. If we come into a weekend, feel that you want to visit Bayelsa State, constitutionally, except otherwise, he has the right to visit River State, and nobody can stop him or should stop him from doing it.
Okay. We should be wrapping up now, but just very short, if you can. Reps Mall removal of transitional lawmaking power from president and governors. That's a headline on the Tribune, Nigerian Tribune. Reps Mall removal of transitional lawmaking powers from president and governors. Is that a right move or a wrong move?
I cannot say whether it's a right move because I've not read the story, so I don't sincerely I don't know what you're talking about. See, if you're talking about transition review by imposition of emergency rule and now setting up an administrator, well, the president by provision of section 305 of the 1990 Constitutional Assembly gives the power to the president to be able to invoke that section and declare a state of emergency in any part of the country. But what the president doesn't have is the constitutional right to suspend a governor, deputy, or a legislative act. That is the power he doesn't have. So if they are trying to strengthen that, strengthen the law to make sure that it is apart from stop the president from arbitrarily doing what he's doing, then that is, as far as I'm concerned, that's a good one in the right direction. But my problem has always been about Nigeria. It's not happening. It's not just the laws. We have the law, but the problem is that the implementation of these laws are always the problem. Our leaders don't implement this law, and the court, the judiciary, is not helping matters at all by the kind of judgment and the kind of decision they take on issues of constitution. That in itself put a large role in the trust between the people and those leaders, as well as even the judiciary itself. We've seen a lot of judicial pronouncement. Ordinary people without being a law graduate or a student of law, you know that common sense could have prevailed on it, but you don't see that happening. So my problem is not just not having enough. We have enough law to deal with issues, every issue in Nigeria. But the fact is that our leaders have the political will to do the needful and making sure that they stick to the tenets of the Constitution rather than just overriding issue and just taking decision as if we are in a parallel state. That is the fundamental for me. Not just enacting all this unnecessary law that already we have enough provisions in the Constitution to deal with matters like that.
Okay. Well, whatever he has no right to do, he has done, and nothing is happening. The heaven is not falling. This is Niger. Like you said, anything can happen. But this is where we have to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, Chris, for your time this morning. And don't let yourself be pranked this morning. It's April Fool's Day. Well, welcome to a new month.
You know, they say that Nigeria is just like Charlie Boy show. Anytime, anything can happen on Charlie Boy show. I'm going to happen behind.
You too. Okay, we've been looking at some headlines on some national newspapers, and Chris KEHINDE NWANDU, executive editor of CKN News, has been helping us. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll go to our first hot topic for today. And our hot topic is on the fact that Army has cracked down on oil thieves and arrested 39 suspects. Stay with us.